Hey everyone, it's Nightlight9. In this video, we're going to go through the new limited time crisis dungeon, Shinra Building VH. So, let's go ahead and get into it, and before we go through the team setup, we will briefly look at the symbol enemy info. We will note that in the beginning, we will face one that's weak to fire, one that's weak to lightning, and then later on there are two that are weak to ice, and one that has no innate resistances. The other thing worth noting for my particular team setup is, other than Assault Scorpion, everybody else can be debuffed for physical defense and magical defense. He's the only one that is strong or is immune to that. So, everybody needs Triangle Sigil, and none of the other sigils matter, so that's what we'll be focusing on here. For team setup, we're using Aerith, Tifa, and Sephiroth. I will start with Sephiroth because he is the most important, especially the final boss Rufus is weak to ice, so you will want somebody that can do mega ice damage, preferably with Diamond Dust 5, because that final boss clear, beating him as fast and as easy as possible, is a really big key to making your score good in this. I can tell you that in my first run where I got an A+, to this run with an S+, the difference was like 100,000 more points just on the Rufus kill alone. So, obviously we're using Edged Wings. I just got mine to OB6 through the summoning for Cloud and Tifa on that first banner. It doesn't have to be an OB6 though, don't be intimidated by that. I'm just using it for ice potency. I'm also using Edged Wing Training Garb for the 35% bonus to ice ability damage. And I'm using Torn Wing here for a secondary weapon. The physical defense increase could be nice. I didn't use it in this run, but a lot of the enemies do physical damage. Only like the very first enemy really does much of a magical damage attack. Sub-weapon, mostly free weapons. In fact, even Nameless I think was the free weapon we were given. I'm using this for HP boost, because if you notice, Sephiroth has the lowest HP of anybody on my team. Magic attack sitting at 3k, which is quite nice. I gave him Triangle Sigil Break. I gave him the poison removal because poison is a big mechanic in this. I think like 3 of the bosses will do, at least 2 of them, I think maybe 3 will do poison, and it's super annoying, so you want to deal with that right away. I also gave him some form of fire because the first boss is going to be hard. We don't really have anybody set up for fire. Moving over to Aerith, I've just got her set up for heals. Probably the only noteworthy thing is that I also am using D-Faith, again, because that Scorpion boss, he's the only one that's going to do a big magic attack, and it really is going to just save you a headache to have a way to debuff him on magic. Other than that, sub-equipment is all set up for healing and HP, nothing fancy or new there. And coming over to Tifa, Tifa is just set up mostly to do debuffing, and as a utility hero, I'm using Amaranth's Claws, but it's not really necessary. It's just nice because it helps her as a support damage dealer, and also for HP purposes. Plus, the non-elemental damage is nice because we're not bringing a whole lot of different things to take, weaknesses into consideration. I did give her a lightning attack for the second boss, and I gave her ice attack for, the rest, but that's pretty much that. Leather Gloves here is probably her #1 weapon that I'm using because of the physical attack decrease and the fact that you can even stack that to high. That is going to be the #1 thing that I'm using for most of these bosses, especially Rufus, because all of his attacks are physical and some of them hit pretty hard. Opting to go for Somersault over a second summon, mostly because they're all weak to ice. In the beginning, yeah, there's some that are weak to fire and lightning, but I just didn't think that was worth a one-time use. I'd rather be able to continually get use out of her defense debuffs, so that's what I've got her set up for. Sub-equipment, again, this is mostly just to help her do a little bit of extra damage, but it's really not a big deal. These here are just for stats, mostly focusing on physical defense stat, HP stat, and then whatever's left over is going into physical attack. So that is the team setup, and now we will get into the run. Okay, entering the dungeon, the first thing we do is we go up to the right, we push this button in order to open that door on the top right, and then we will immediately go to face the Scorpion. The reason I'm doing the Scorpion first is because it's a grind, and I want to do it while he's as weak as possible. So he's weak to fire. We're not really set up for it, but we'll just try to get in as much as we possibly can. Now, I've sped up this fight because there's really not a whole lot to this fight. The biggest thing you have to pay attention to is he will buff his magic constantly through the first part of the fight. This is where the D-Faith comes in, and for the most part, there's not a whole lot of healing necessary, so Aerith does have plenty of time to get that in. Now, right after the sigil break, that's when he's going to charge up the tail laser, so use this time to magically debuff his attack, or debuff his magic attack as much as possible. Here, I also use Solid Mana Ward on Sephiroth because he has the lowest HP pool, so I was just kind of babying him a little bit. But here you can see it does, about 2,000 to 2,500 damage, depending on your magical defense. After that, he immediately goes into a defense down mode where you can try to get in as much damage as possible. Here, I chose to use Sephiroth to just jam these Fyras out as much as I possibly can. I'm not using Somersault because, remember, the one thing you can't debuff on this guy is his defense, which just makes the fight a little bit more of a grind. But eventually, you can just get him down. The one thing the AI is really good at, if you're not using Aerith, is she will constantly debuff that magic attack. So don't really have to worry too much about that. You can just kind of focus mostly on spamming out your Fyras or whatever fire damage you have, and hopefully take him down before he uses the second tail laser, and that is the first fight. Now you can see here that our score isn't the greatest, but that's okay. The first two fights we're just getting out of the way so that we'll make up for it later on. Here I'm going to take the physical attack. I think it's just a safe bet, but you definitely want to be working towards attack bonuses as much as possible, because remember, when you're going for an S+ score, the faster you kill bosses, the better everything gets. Here we will go to Custom Sweeper, and one of the things that I was doing constantly through this fight that is there's no point doing is D-Faith. These fire attacks are physical, so the D-Faith is not useful. But we wanted to get the super combo off. That's why I kind of derped around for a while with Aerith. I just like to have her heal at least do something, or at least serve some purpose. But other than that, we're mostly just focusing on Sephiroth's Diamond Dust to try to do most of the damage. I would recommend trying to kill the add-ons here before you tackle the main guy. And the reason is just because they will constantly spam out these flame attacks. And with the poison and stuff that he's adding on, it does become, a little bit annoying. Here, I Kiraga before the stomp because I just want to make sure that I'm going to survive it. You can see, it does close to 2,000 damage. Just another AoE move that you've got to get through. Here, continue to take down that second ad if you haven't already. And just note that it doesn't really matter if you can't break his sigil in time. The only thing that's going to happen after the sigil is done is he's going to remove these barriers he's got from himself. I guess if you break the sigil early enough, then it removes them faster. This doesn't really matter. So we go ahead and debuff him, just get in as much damage as possible. And again, I only have one lightning attack, and that's on Tifa. So I'm just going to jam Aerial Frostblade over and over and over again because he's not strong against ice, and it is Sephiroth's main attack. So, we're chunking him down as much as we possibly can here. But other than that, once you get through the stomp, just keep everybody healed up. Keep jamming that damage on Sephiroth. Debuff with Tifa if you can, and you'll get him down. You basically just survive the storm in the beginning, and after that, DPS him until he's down. You'll see here that our score is better, still not amazing, but these were the two hardest fights in terms of our preparation for elemental weakness. Here, ice potency is a pretty no-brainer, I think, for the setup that we have. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to run up, and instead of taking any of the items, we're going to go straight to the boss. And the reason is we want to save those add-ons to charge our limits afterwards. And in this fight, you're going to see why Sephiroth is the man, the myth, and the legend. First thing I would do is hop on Tifa, use your Omni Strike, try to get it in twice to actually stack it all the way up to high if you don't have your limits charged and ready to go. The reason is he's going to do some pretty big physical attacks, and with high potency attack down, it's just not really going to hurt that much. So ultimately, we're just biding our time here, and I see that Sephiroth's kind of going down. I use my healing wind. I was a little bit early. I could have held it just for a second. Would have been a little bit better. But I saw that Tifa's was coming up too, and I really wanted to get him debuffed before the Diamond Dust comes, and you'll see why in just a moment. So I just cast something with Tifa so I can get her somersault out. Here it comes. It's not quite the super combo, but it seems pretty super when you see this damage. Diamond Dust hitting for 185,000 it looks like, and everybody's gone. So that is the third fight. And now you can see that our score is shaping up to be something that looks like an S+ run. Here, I thought about this for a long time, ended up taking the magic attack plus 20 to help Sephiroth deal damage. Again, for an S+ run, you need to be able to clear things fast. Now I'm going to go up and I'm going to get this first box, which is going to trigger an add-on fight. If you have been sleeping on the battle towers and you don't know what these guys do, basically they do a screech move against one person, followed by every one of them doing a magic attack. So just switch your stance, hold out, get your cures up, and the fight's pretty easy. Now after this, do not go and get this second box over here. I mean, you can, but there's another add-on fight, and we want to save that in order to build up some summon gauges again for the Reno fight. So we're going to skip that for now, and we're just going to run around up here. There's no more add-ons until you get into the next room. So you can safely take this box here, and once you get into the next room, maybe reevaluate where you are. And so for me, I'm going to go ahead and do some healing here, or at least, restore some of that max HP. Special supplement, I mean, I see that everybody is more than 40, so this seems like heavy value to me. Now, once you get down here, there will be another add-on fight, and it's similar to the add-ons that we just faced, only this time they do have another move, this Dance of Terror. Dance of Terror, I believe, is it's a magic attack that deals damage based on your HP. It does a percentage based on whatever HP you're at. So, I don't think it can kill you, but, they do that to kind of lower you and be annoying. Then they start the screech stuff, followed by the same stuff where they're going to use their magic attacks afterwards. But ultimately, it's a long fight, but it shouldn't give you any real problems. Okay, and the next guy we're going to face is the Specimen 0512, aka the really big poison dude. Just start off with the super combo is what I'm going to do here. Luckily, I just cleared up a bunch of HP room for everybody, so going to be able to heal, get some damage in, and get this fight started off nicely. Let's see. It looks like about 58,000 is what we end up with. That's a good chunk. So from here, mostly just keep track of if he's poisoning people, make sure you're getting rid of that. Omni Strike, very valuable here because he does do a lot of physical hits, and if you do that, everything goes along pretty nicely. Eventually here, he's going to start a sigil break, and you've got a lot of time to get this sigil broken. So just kind of get your damage in, keep him debuffed. He does spawn these two guys, and I guess here you could save. I could have saved my Shiva to try to kill these guys, but I didn't. So now I'm on to these guys. I'm going to try to kill them off because they will do a self-destruct move that hits, decently hard. So just do your best. I'm not able to kill the second one, and you can see here in a second he's going to start this self-destruct. So just switch your stances. It does more damage to him than it does to you, so we heal right after it and keep him debuffed with Tifa. That'll help you do more damage since he's not actually weak to any of our elements. But, like I said, you have plenty of time to kind of get this sigil broken, keep him debuffed, and just keep pouring on as much damage as you possibly can. Sephiroth is hitting here 12,500 in large part because, his defense is debuffed. So we'll just kind of finish him off, and that is the fourth fight. And we see another score of about 61,000, so things are progressing rather nicely, I'd say. After this, we're going to get our last buff, and one of the buffs offered here in the middle is going to be Ice Potency plus 15%, another no-brainer, so go ahead and slam that, and then afterwards we will pick up the tent over here, which I don't plan on using. I can't tell you exactly how many points the tent is worth, but I've ran this dungeon now about 6 times, and just looking at my scores from A+ runs to now, I can tell you I got about 40,000 more item bonus by not using the tent. So if you're close, don't use it. That's my best advice, but you can probably still get an S+ if you use it. Over here, we ran back to pick up that first item that I told you to avoid because it's one last enemy that we get to fight. Shouldn't give you any problems. Just charge your summons. Here, we're going to face Rufus. I'm going to give the Blizzard Cocktail to Sephiroth to maximize that damage. I'm looking at everybody's max HP, knowing that Rufus, he does a big AoE move at some point that hits for like, I don't know, as much as 2,700, I want to say. So I'm going to just go ahead and make sure that Sephiroth can survive, just giving him just as much HP as he needs. Now, at the beginning of this fight, you want to kill this dog, which is why we want to have Diamond Dust ready. We're going to use this super combo, and the most important reason you need to do it right away is to kill the dog. The biggest thing that the dog does, he does a lot of things for Rufus. One, he'll cure him over time and all these other things, but the number one thing is he will give him eventually a physical and magical attack buff, or sorry, physical and magical defense buff, and it lasts like a long ass time. I mean, almost throughout the remainder of the fight. You do not want that. It will kill your score. It will make this fight take forever. So one of the first big moves he uses is a single target physical damage move. Heal through it. He then has a pretty short sigil break, but it's easy to break because it only takes 4. So just continue to lay on the damage. Omni Strike again, also really good because all of his moves are physical. And I can tell you, if you get him down to high potency attack debuff, like none of his moves feel that big. So he then enters into a long sigil break, and note that he will counter you if you use physical ruin blows. So don't use those, just use the magical ruin res. I don't think I mentioned that in the beginning team setup, but that is something that you'll want to account for so that he doesn't do his counter. Other than that, this is a great time to just charge up everything. And all I'm waiting for here is Sephiroth to get Shiva again, because I anticipate that my next Diamond Dust is going to finish him off. So after he does a bunch of super long attack animations, I see we're ready. Might as well just go ahead and jam it all to give the most possible damage. And Rufus is seconds away from going down, and we will have cleared the dungeon. Only thing left to see is that score at the end, which I've already showed, so you know it's going to be an S+. All right, Rufus barely alive. We hit him with a Runra. That's it. That is the fight, and that's it. That's the whole Crisis dungeon completed with an S+ ranking. And again, just note that, like I said, I didn't use a tent. I used, I think, a total of 4 healing items, 1 Blizzard Cocktail, and I think that was about it. So you could be, you know, a little bit weaker and still get through this, because my score was, you know, close to 100,000 more than what was necessary. So hopefully this helps you clear it as well. And if it did, subscribe for future content. I will be making a guide on Mount Nibble in the future, so stay tuned for that as well. As always, thanks for watching.